The screen opens on Buckingham Palace's courtyard, shimmering under the relentless blaze of a late June sun. Its cream-colored stone walls radiant with the weight of centuries. Tourists swarm along the barriers, their cameras flashing like fireflies, capturing the vibrant flutter of royal standards against the cerulean sky. The Union Jack waving proudly atop its flagpole, a symbol of enduring tradition. The air is thick with the hum of voices, the click of shutters, the faint scent of warm cobblestones, sunscreen, and the distant aroma of roasted chestnuts from a vendor's cart. Cathedral bells chime solemnly across London, their deep, resonant notes weaving through the vibrant chaos, grounding the scene in a quiet reverence. In this sunlit spectacle, where history and humanity collide, a single moment will unfold a child's desperate plea, piercing the heart of a guard, shattering centuries of protocol to save a life. It is a moment that will redefine duty, not just for one man, but for all who witness the courage to act when a silent cry demands it. As the bells toll their solemn song, one question echoes across the courtyard. What would you risk to save a child from darkness? Lance Corporal Daniel Harford stands motionless at his post, a steadfast sentinel in his scarlet ceremonial uniform, the sun warming the heavy fabric, casting a soft glow on the polished brass buttons and the towering bearskin hat that frames his disciplined face. At 22, Daniel is a seasoned soldier of the Royal Regiment, his lean frame honed by 8 years of service, his hazel eyes sharp with a vigilance forged in the crucible of conflict. His face, tanned and lined from years under foreign suns, is a mask of stoic resolve. But beneath the surface lies a quiet compassion, a man shaped by the lives he's saved and the losses he's endured. A flashback transports us to a moonless night in Helmand province, where Daniel, his uniform streaked with dust and sweat, moves silently through a war-torn street, his eyes catching the glint of an IED hidden in the shadows. His quick shout, his steady hand guiding his unit to safety, saved lives that night, earning him a commendation and a reputation for seeing what others miss, for hearing the unspoken dangers that lurk in silence. Now, as a Queen's Guard, his duty is to embody the crown's honor, to stand as a living symbol of tradition. But his instincts, honed in battle, remain alert, scanning the crowd with subtle shifts of focus, ready to detect danger in the heart of this peaceful, sun-drenched courtyard. Amid the throng of tourist families clutching guidebooks, students snapping selfies, vendors hawking Union, Jack flags, and postcards, Daniel's gaze settles on a boy, about 8 years old, moving cautiously through the crowd, his small frame hunched, his eyes downcast, avoiding the world. The boy, Eli, wears long sleeves and jeans, despite the stifling heat, an odd choice that draws Daniel's attention, his dark hair falling over a pale face marked by tension, his expression lacking the enthusiasm of the children around him, who bounce and point at the guards with wide-eyed wonder. A woman in her mid-30s, expensively dressed in a tailored cream blazer, white silk blouse, and sleek heels, her blonde hair styled in a flawless updo, grips his shoulder tightly, her smile bright but strained, her fingers tensing when she thinks no one is watching, betraying a control that feels more predatory than protective. Daniel's jaw tightens, his training kicking in, recognizing the dissonance between her polished exterior and the boy's subdued fear, a contrast that sets off alarms in his mind. The courtyard pulses with live tourists laughing, a street musician strumming a gentle melody on a guitar, an elderly couple sharing a water bottle under the shade of a barrier. But Daniel's focus narrows, his heart stirring with a soldier's intuition, a growing sense that something is terribly wrong beneath the surface of this sunlit scene. The conflict ignites as the woman, Claire, leans down to Eli, a voice bright but laced with an edge Daniel recognizes from his counterterrorism training as forced, a performance designed to deflect scrutiny. Isn't this exciting? Ellie, she says, her tone overly cheerful, her smile fixed like a mask, her blue eyes darting to the crowd to ensure her act is convincing. Ellie nods mechanically, his shoulders stiff, flinching subtly as her hand slides down his back, her fingers lingering in a way that feels possessive, not nurturing, her touch making him tense, his face paling under the sun. A tourist, a jovial man in a bright polo shirt, bumps into them, apologizing with a hearty laugh, and Claire pulls Eli close, her fingers digging into his side, making him stiffen, his breath catching. Clumsy boy, she laughs, her voice hollow, her eyes scanning to ensure no one noticed the force of her grip. The fear in Eli's eyes. Daniel's chest tightens, his hand steady on his rifle, bound by the protocol that demands he remain a statue, a silent emblem of the crown. But his mind races, cataloging the signs. Eli's fear, Claire's control, the mismatch in their dynamic that screams danger. The crowd shifts, and Daniel overhears Claire's next words, whispered but sharp, carried to his trained ears by a breeze. Our special day depends on you being good, she says, her hand curling into Eli's dark hair, steering him through the crowd with a grip that leaves no room for resistance. Her fingers twisting slightly, eliciting a wince Eli tries to hide. Daniel's heart pounds, his duty to the crown warring with a deeper duty, one forged in the chaos of war, to protect the vulnerable, to act when innocence is at stake. An elderly couple nearby, their faces kind, but etched with concern, notice the exchange, their eyes lingering on Eli's tense frame. The woman, her silver hair, tucked under a wide-brimmed sun hat, smiles gently at Eli, her voice soft as she leans forward. Warm day for long sleeves, isn't it, dear? She says, her hazel eyes studying his covered arms, her tone probing but kind. Claire's smile tightens, her voice clipped, her hand tightening on Eli's shoulder, her fingers whitening with pressure. He has sensitive skin, she replies, her tone dismissive, but her eyes flicker with irritation, betraying her discomfort at the scrutiny. The elderly man, his face weathered, adjusts his glasses, his expression thoughtful, whispering to his wife, something's not right. A young mother, pushing a stroller with a sleeping toddler, overhears the exchange and frowns, her green eyes narrowing as she watches Eli's hesitation when she kneels beside him, her voice warm. Do you like dinosaurs? Love. My boy's mad for them, she says, pointing to the toddler, hoping to draw a smile. Eli opens his mouth, his eyes briefly lighting with interest. But Claire cuts in, her voice sharp, her smile forced. He's shy, she says, steering him away, her hand firm on his back, her fingers pressing into his spine, making him wince again. The mother's frown deepens, her voice soft but pointed, as she glances at Eli's backpack, its name tag turned inward, obscuring any name. Shouldn't it say Eli? She asks, her tone curious, but laced with suspicion. Her maternal instincts alert to the boy's fear. Claire's face flashes with irritation, but she recovers, her smile returning like a switch flipped. It's new, hasn't been labeled yet, she says, her tone curt. But her eyes dart to the exits, her pace quickening, her heels clicking faster on the cobblestones. The tension escalates as Claire maneuvers Eli toward a quieter corner of the courtyard, away from the camera's gaze. Her movements deliberate, her eyes scanning the crowd with a predator's caution, her polished exterior barely masking her urgency. She positions Eli closer to Daniel's post, perhaps to blend into the crowd's fascination with the guards. Her voice low but insistent. Talk to him, she urges, pushing Eli forward, her hand on his shoulder like a vice, her fingers digging into his thin frame. Eli stumbles slightly, his sneakers scuffing the stone, his eyes meeting Danielle's for a fleeting moment, wide with fear, pleading for something unspoken, a desperation that pierces the guard's heart like a blade. He steps closer, his small frame trembling, his voice barely a whisper, trembling but clear. carried to Daniel by the stillness of the moment. "She's not my aunt," he says, his words a desperate confession. His brown eyes locked on Daniel's, a cry for help that shatters the guard's resolve to remain still. Claire's face hardens, her voice a hiss, her hand tightening in Eli's hair, pulling him back with a force that makes him gasp. "Remember what I promised for later," she warns, her blue eyes flashing with a mix of panic and menace, her grip bruising, her facade cracking under the weight of Eli's defiance. The drama intensifies as Eli, his fear giving way to a spark of courage, plants his feet, his small frame trembling but resolute, his voice breaking through the crowd's chatter like a bell. "She's not my aunt," he cries, his words raw, rising above the hum of tourists, the strum of the musician's guitar. "She took me." The courtyard freezes, tourists turning, cameras lowering, faces shifting from curiosity to shock, their voices falling silent as the weight of Eli's plea sinks in. Claire's smile vanishes, her face paling, her eyes wide with panic, her voice shrill as she pulls Eli toward her, her grip bruising. "He's my nephew, just upset," she protests, her voice cracking, her blazer creasing as she tugs him, her heels scraping the stone in her haste to retreat. The crowd parts, their faces a gallery of concern. The elderly couple steps closer, the woman's sun hat shading her determined face, the young mother's hand covering her mouth, a tourist's phone raised to capture the unfolding drama, his expression torn between awe and horror. Daniel's training takes over, his decision instantaneous, protocol no match for the child's cry, his heart overriding the chains of tradition. He throws down his rifle, the metal clattering on the cobblestones, a sound that silences the crowd, sharp and jarring in the sunlit courtyard. He vaults the barrier in 3 powerful strides, his scarlet tunic a blaze of motion, his bearskin hat steady despite the speed, his boots cracking on the stone like thunder. "Release the boy now," he commands, his voice a deep, authoritative boom that echoes across the courtyard, carrying the weight of his years in combat. His hazel eyes locking onto Claire's, his presence a wall of resolve that brooks no defiance. Claire stammers, her face ashen, her bluster faltering under the guard's intensity. "He's my nephew, I swear," she insists, her voice cracking, her hand still gripping Eli's arm, her fingers whitening with desperation. Daniel closes the distance, his focus unwavering, his training as a soldier overriding the ceremonial constraints of his role, his heart pounding with the urgency to protect. The climax peaks as Claire lunges, trying to pull Eli toward the exit, her heels slipping on the cobblestones, her voice shrill with panic. "You've got no right," she snaps, her blonde hair loosening from its updo, her polished facade crumbling. Daniel intercepts, his hand firm but controlled, pushing her back with a strength honed in battle, breaking her grip with a precision that leaves no room for resistance. Eli stumbles free, his small hands clinging to Daniel's scarlet tunic, his face buried in the fabric, his sobs muffled but raw, his body shaking with relief and fear. Daniel's arm encircles him, a shield against the woman who would take him back into darkness. His voice soft but steady as he kneels to Eli's level. "You're safe now," he says, his hazel eyes meeting the boy's, offering a promise of protection, a father's warmth in a soldier's frame. The crowd watches, their faces transformed. The elderly man's hand tightens on his wife's, his glasses glinting as he nods, the young mother's eyes glistening, a tourist's phone still raised, capturing a moment that will echo far beyond the palace walls. Palace security arrives, their navy uniforms cutting through the crowd, their radios crackling with urgency, their faces professional but alert. Captain Edward Harrow, Daniel's commanding officer, steps forward, his face stern, but his dark eyes warm with approval. His presence a calming force in the charged atmosphere. "Some duties transcend the protocol," he says, his voice resonant, addressing the security team and the crowd. His nod to Daniel, a silent commendation, a recognition of a God who saw what others missed. Daniel stands, lifting Eli gently, keeping him close as he addresses the lead officer. His voice steady, his tone unwavering. The boy says she's not his aunt, that she took him. I saw signs of coercion, her grip, his fear, the way she controlled him. He reports, his words precise, his training evident in every syllable. The elderly couple approaches, the woman's voice firm. Her son had shading her determined face. She was too rough with him, kept him too close, wouldn't let him speak, she says, her husband nodding, his voice gruff. Something was off from the start. The young mother steps forward, her stroller beside her, her voice trembling but clear. He didn't answer to Eli at first, and she hid his name tag deliberately. I'd say, Eli. His voice, barely a whisper, speaks again, his words cutting through the tension like a beacon. My name is Eli Carter. She took me from the playground at school, he says, his brown eyes wide, his small hand clutching Daniel's tunic, his courage, a light in the darkness of his ordeal. The revelation lands like a thunderbolt, the crowd gasping, their faces a mix of horror and relief, their murmurs rising in support of the boy and the guard who saved him. A tourist, a middle-aged woman with a smartphone, steps forward, her screen displaying a missing child alert from a local news site. The photo unmistakably Eli, his dark hair and brown eyes, a perfect match. Reported missing from a London school 2 days prior. Last seen near a playground. This is him, she says, her voice shaking. Her phone held high for the officers to see. The alert's details confirming Eli's story, sealing Claire's fate. Police arrive. Their sirens cutting through the courtyard's tension. Their blue uniforms a stark contrast to the scarlet of the guards. Their movement swift and professional. Claire, her face ashen, her cream blazer creased, her blonde hair falling loose, protests as she scoffed, her voice shrill and desperate. You've got no proof. He's my nephew, she snaps. But her defiance crumbles under the weight of evidence, Eli's testimony. The crowd's observations, the missing child alert on the tourist's phone, the bruises hidden beneath Eli's sleeves, now visible as a medic gently checks him. The police lead her away, her heels clicking faintly, her head bowed in defeat, her polished exterior no match for the truth. Eli, still clinging to Daniel, buries his face in the guard's tunic, his trembling easing, his trust in the man who saved him, a quiet anchor in the storm of his rescue. The resolution unfolds as the courtyard, once charged with the electricity of confrontation, settles into a quiet reverence. The sun still blazing, the royal standards fluttering above, the bells chiming softly in the distance. Eli's parents arrive, their faces tear-streaked, their voices breaking as they rush through the crowd, their arms enveloping Eli in a desperate, tearful embrace, their gratitude a palpable force that fills the courtyard. Thank you, his mother sobs, her hands clutching Eli's face, her eyes meeting Daniel's with a depth of thanks words cannot convey. His father, his voice choked, grips Daniel's hand. His words simple but heavy. You gave us our son back. The elderly couple, their hands clasped, smile warmly. The woman's son head tilting as she nods to Daniel. Her voice soft. You did what was right. Young man, the young mother, her stroller now still, wipes her eyes, her voice trembling with awe. He's a hero. Truly, the tourist with the phone shares the alert with others, her face lit with pride for the guard who acted, her video already spreading online, a beacon of hope in a world that often looks away. Daniel, his scarlet tunic slightly rumpled from Eli's embrace, stands tall, his bearskin hat adjusted, his smile warm as Eli looks back, his small hand waving, his brown eyes bright with trust, a bond forged in a moment of crisis. The crowd claps softly, their applause growing, a tide of admiration that washes over the courtyard, a tribute to a God who broke tradition to save a life, who heard a child's cry and answered with the full force of his courage. Palace staff, their navy blazers crisp, join the applause, their faces reflecting pride in one of their own. While tourists share whispers of awe, their cameras now capturing not just the palace, but the man who made history within its walls. The vendor, his cart adorned with a small Union Jack, pauses his sails, his eyes glistening as he nods to Daniel. His voice rough but sincere. "Well done, Mate," he calls, his words carrying across the stone. A simple tribute from one Londoner to another. Days later, the story of Eli and Daniel becomes a global phenomenon, shared across news outlets, social media, and whispered conversations. A viral video capturing the moment Daniel vaulted the barrier, his command echoing, Eli's cry a plea that shattered protocol. Headlines: Hail, the guard who heard, framing Daniel's act as a lesson in compassion, vigilance, and the power of a single moment to change a life. A reminder that duty extends beyond ceremony to the heart of humanity. News anchors recount the story with reverence, their voices thick with emotion, while online forums buzz with praise for the guard who saw what others missed, for the boy whose courage gave voice to his fear. The video, shared millions of times, shows Daniel's scarlet tunic blazing across the courtyard, Eli's small frame clinging to him. The crowd's face is a tapestry of shock and hope. A moment that transcends borders, uniting viewers in awe of a guard who chose a child's life over tradition. At a private ceremony in Buckingham Palace's state dining room, Daniel stands before Colonel Sir William Tate, his scarlet uniform gleaming under the golden chandeliers, the air rich with the scent of polished mahogany and fresh roses arranged in crystal vases. The room, with its crimson walls and gilded portraits, is a fitting stage for a moment of honor. The windows framing a view of the palace gardens, where the sun continues to shine. Taite, his face stern but warm, his gray hair catching the light, pins a commendation to Daniel's chest. The Queen's Guard Medal for exceptional service, a rare honor for acts that uphold the crown's values in extraordinary ways. You upheld the crown's honor, Lance Corporal, and saved a child, Tate says, his voice resonant, his eyes meeting Daniel's with pride. The Queen herself sends her gratitude, as does a nation. Daniel's hazel eyes glisten, his thoughts on Eli, on his wife Kate, on the duty that defines him, his salute steady, his heart full. The weight of the medal, a reminder of the boy he saved, the life he changed. At Daniel's modest London home, a cozy terraced house with a small garden where roses bloom. Kate, a child trauma expert with warm brown eyes and a gentle smile, sits with Eli, her voice soft as she helps him process his ordeal. Her expertise a lifeline for the boy whose world was shattered. The living room is warm, filled with the scent of fresh-baked cookies and the soft hum of a radio, a haven of safety where Eli can begin to heal. Kate, her dark hair pulled into a loose bun, draws pictures with Eli, her questions gentle, her presence a balm for his fear. "You were so brave," she tells him, her hand resting on his, her smile encouraging a tentative grin from the boy. Eli's parents, still reeling from the near loss of their son, visit regularly, their gratitude deepening with each meeting. Their conversations with Kate and Daniel hinting at a potential foster future with the Harfords, whose home is already a sanctuary of love. Kate, her hand resting on Daniel's as they watch Eli play with a stuffed dinosaur she gave him, whispers, "You brought him to us." Her eyes bright with pride, her heart open to the possibility of a new chapter for their family. Eli, now safe with his parents, but spending afternoons with the Harfords, draws a picture for Daniel, a scarlet guard with a towering bearskin hat, a boy beside him holding a dinosaur. The words, "Thank you," hero scrawled in blue crayon. The letters uneven but heartfelt. Daniel tucks it into his wallet, next to photos of Kate and his parents, a reminder of why he acted, a talisman for the days ahead, a symbol of the bond forged in a moment of crisis. He visits Eli's school, speaking to children about safety, teaching them the courage to speak out. His scarlet uniform a beacon for the students. His voice steady but warm. His presence a reassurance that help is always possible. Ellie, sitting in the front row, clutches his dinosaur, his eyes bright with admiration. His trust in Daniel, a foundation for his recovery. Claire, identified as a predator involved in a trafficking network, faces multiple charges. Her capture a direct result of Daniel's intervention, Ellie's courage, and the crowd's vigilance. Investigations reveal her history of targeting vulnerable children. Her polished exterior, a mask for a darkness now exposed. Her arrest a victory for the countless families she harmed. The elderly couple, back in their Sussex cottage, share the story with their grandchildren. Their voices filled with admiration for the guard who saw what others missed. Their sun hat and glasses now keepsakes from a day they'll never forget. The young mother, now a vocal advocate for child safety, tells Eli's tale at community events. Her stroller a constant companion, her resolve strengthened by the boy's bravery. Her advocacy, ensuring that schools teach distress signals and vigilance. The tourist, back in Canada, shows the video to her church group, her voice thick with emotion as she recounts the guard's swift action, teaching them the power of a single act of courage. Her phone now a tool for spreading hope. Daniel returns to his post the following week. The June sun still blazing. The courtyard alive with new tourists, their cameras flashing. Their voices a familiar hum against the backdrop of the palace's cream-colored stones. His scarlet tunic glows in the sunlight. His bearskin hat steady. His rifle a silent vow to protect. Its weight a reminder of the duty he carries. The crowd, unaware of the drama that unfolded days before, snaps photos, their laughter filling the air. But the vendor, his cart adorned with a small Union Jack, and a new photo of Daniel clipped to the side, nods to the guard. His smile a quiet acknowledgement of the hero beneath the uniform. You're a good man. Harford, he calls, his voice rough but sincere, his eyes glistening as he hands a free flag to a child, his own way of honoring the moment. Palace staff, passing by on their rounds, offer subtle nods, their respect unspoken but profound, their pride in Daniel a shared secret among those who serve the crown. The palace, with its ancient walls, royal standards, and iron gates, stands as it always has, a witness to countless moments of courage. Its honor upheld by a guard who heard a child's cry and answered without hesitation, who saw fear where others saw shyness, who moved when protocol demanded stillness. Daniel's thoughts linger on Ellie, on Kate, on the duty that binds him to act, even when tradition demands he stand still, his heart a compass for the lives he might yet save. He thinks of his own childhood, of a father who taught him to protect the weak, of a mother whose stories of courage shaped his soul. Their lessons now alive in the choice he made. He thinks of the commendation ceremony, of Colonel Tate's words, of the Queen's gratitude. But most of all, he thinks of Eli's drawing, the crayon hero, who stands tall, a reminder that the smallest voices can call forth the greatest strength. The story of that sunlit afternoon is a parable of courage, a testament to the power of a single moment to change a life, to shatter the chains of tradition when a child's safety hangs in the balance. It is a story of a God who saw danger where others saw routine, who risked his post, his reputation, his very identity as a Queen's Guard to save a boy, whose courage reminded us that honor is not in standing still, but in moving when it matters most. Lance Corporal Daniel Harford, with his soldier's instincts and human heart, proved that true duty lies beyond tradition, that a child's plea can pierce centuries of silence, that the eyes of a boy can call forth a hero from within a statue. It is a story of Eli Carter, whose bravery gave voice to his fear, whose trust in a stranger became a beacon for others, whose small hand held the power to change the world. Sometimes, true duty lies beyond tradition. What does courage mean to you? Have you ever faced a moment where you had to act against the rules to protect someone? where a quiet plea demanded your strength, where your heart refused to stay silent. Did you move? Or did you hesitate? And what did that choice teach you? Share your story in the comments below. Tell us about the moments that defined your honor, the choices that tested your resolve, the lessons that linger like a child's trust, like a crayon drawing in a soldier's wallet. If you're inspired by stories like Daniel Harford's and Eli Carter's stories of vigilance, compassion, and the courage to break tradition for the sake of a life, hit that like button. Subscribe and ring the bell. Join us for more tales that uplift, that challenge, that remind us of the strength within us all every single day.